Have you always wondered about projectors for your digital sewing patterns? I know I definitely have, and I recently got the Leisure 470 from Vanco, and I'm going to test it out and actually cut out one of my old digital patterns that I love and recreate a fun shirt. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make sure the scale is right. I use a gridded cutting mat, and I also put a grid up on Illustrator, and I go over the gray area of the artboard and have white grids. That way it's easier to see them on the actual projection. Definitely check out my full review of how to get your projector to the correct scale before you get cutting here. Next, I'm going to bring up my pattern. I'm going to lay out my fabric, and I'm going to get it nice and squared on my mat so that it's ready to go. And then as I finish that up, I'm going to start manipulating and moving my pattern pieces around the board. My fabric does not have direction to it, so I can lay pieces upside down without too much problem. And as I turned the sleeve upside down, I saw that the tie was a little bit too long, but since it was just a tie, I could quickly manipulate it in to fit beautifully on the fabric right in that piece to really save space. I also had a few issues with how wide my hem was on this asymmetrical piece. I knew it had a lot of fullness, so all I had to do was bring it in a little bit to make it fit onto the fabric. And then I cut out my pattern. I was a little worried about my shadow causing problems, but in the long run, it worked out beautifully. I am super happy. To the sewing machine. I am going to serge this entire garment together. So I'm going to start with the two shoulder seams, and then I'm going to bias off the neckline. So I just have a strip of fabric that I'm going to fold in half, and I'm going to slightly stretch it all around the neckline. This helps hold the neckline a little bit tighter, as well as create a very nice finish. Then once that is finished off, I'm going to add the flounce onto the bottom half, and I'm going to make sure that on the back it'll line up nice and easily, but on the front I have to line up the two front pieces with the bottom piece, so that I want to make sure that they all line up nicely and half of the fabric doesn't get caught funny or weird. You just need to really make sure that all three pieces are laying nicely flat as you serge them together. Now that they're serged together, I'm going to sew in my sleeves. So I have 4 parts of my sleeve because this is a cold shoulder shirt. So I'm sewing them on one side and then the other, and then I'm going to go back through and hem them with a purl edge stitch later. Then it comes to the side seam. So I'm going to line up the underarm sleeve all the way down to the hem. Then we're going to repeat and do the other sleeve and the other side seam. Next, it is time to finish this garment. So I'm going to change my machine over to do a purl edge stitch. If you're looking for a full way to do that, definitely check out this video here so that you can get this fun stitch yourself. And I'm going to just hold my fabric just a little bit to give it that little bit extra stretch to get those extra stitches into that to cause that lettuced edge. And I'm going to do this around the hem of my garment and both my sleeves. I love the look of this stitch and always recommend it to finish off knits for that very particular look. See how good it looks? Ooh, I love it so much. And there I have it. I have a new fun shirt that I didn't have to print out a ton of pages for. You can definitely check out my full review of the Leisure 470 right up here. I definitely have some pros and cons and some things to consider if you are looking to buy. So definitely check that one out. If you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to like and subscribe so you can check out so you can learn how you can digitally apparel pattern your own patterns in Adobe Illustrator. And then if you decide to get a projector, you can then project it onto your fabric and cut them out yourself. So definitely make sure to like and subscribe. If you're interested in the projector or mat or anything else I used, I do have some affiliate links down below, so check out the description. And I hope to see you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!